Hey guys, what's up and welcome back. This week we've got two episodes, and the first part is working on terrain. Terrain can be a bit of a tricky thing sometimes, and being that they're usually bulky or large parts, some of them might need to be hollowed, while others don't really need it because their bits are smaller, and there's really no necessity to hollow them because there's not enough surface area being used there at one time. This well, for another example, though, is big enough that it has some surface areas there that are going to get quite large and round. So it's going to create a bit of a cup anyway through the middle. Um, so we want to angle it. And then in doing so, we're actually going to make wider surface areas by tilting it. If we were just going to print it right like this, just straight off the plate, which you totally could get away with, um, I mean, you're just going to deal with a suction cup because it is essentially a big suction cup, and it's going to just pop off the plate with every pull because there's no hole through the bottom. I mean, you could put one there, and you could put a hole right, boop, right in the middle. Kind of ruins the piece a little bit if you have to poke a hole right through it, but I mean, I guess for necessity's sake, if you're going to print it off the plate, yep, you definitely need to do that. If you're going to hollow it like me, you're going to see it creates kind of like a donut. But that uses a lot less material, and it's also going to save you a bit when you're printing it, especially since we're printing mine at an angle. Now, if you're interested in getting your hands on these parts, you can actually have them for yourself. As you can see, I can't put a hole straight through the middle there. It has to be a little deeper um, in order to go right through, but yeah. Um, You can get these from My Mini Factory. They are Crippled God Foundry. This is part of one of their newer series, which I believe is called the Tainted Chapel. We do sell them as well in our shop if you're interested. Um, I don't know if we have all the train parts listed, but we do sell most of them. In this particular case, since I can't put a hole right in the middle because that middle section is a little thin, I'm going to just place some rings around the actual ring. And I'm just in the hollowing tab right now using the hole function and just punching holes. And you can adjust your holes from anywhere, I would say 1.5 millimeters to whatever size you need them to be. But if you have the opportunity to make a big hole in something, do it because the bigger the hole, the better. And the better it's going to drain and the better that's going to work. So that's really just a hollowing tip, to be honest. And yeah, we're using the slider there to kind of check out how those holes are going to react just as they are. And I'm also showing you there the outhouse thing. It doesn't have a lot of surface area to worry about, so no hollowing needed there. So now that we have the hollowed well in the piece, we can take out the other one. And I'll start working on the orientation part. Now we're back in the layout tab here, and I'm going to go ahead and change over to my rotational tool in a minute. And then we're going to go ahead and work on orientation. Now for the well, I'm going to use probably between a 40 to 53-degree angle because this is going off of one of my smaller printers, so I don't want to go higher than that, and I don't want to really go lower than 45. Okay, so what I'm doing here with the layer slider is I'm going up and down and I'm checking the orientation. I'm going to make sure that the drain holes that I have at the bottom of my hollow object are going to be the first part of the print that gets exposed before the hollowing does. You want to make sure that your drain holes are as close to the start of your hollow area so that way you have no suction cupping or as little suction cupping on the object as possible. In this particular case, I think we'll be okay with the orientation I've chosen for the well. All right, just keep in mind as you reorient and orient each object to have the smallest amount of it starting the print. This will allow a very clean print start. It also gives your support very little to have to grab onto and when you place them on the bottom. And the initial part, that always seems to be an initial failure point. So just keep that in mind. Now this plank here, I'm actually going to do at a weird angle because that bucket, I'm not sure where I want to put that bucket. I don't know if this is going to be a good or a bad thing to have it on the bottom like that, because I feel like it's going to be a shelf, and then either way, if I put it at a high angle, it's going to be an even higher shelf. So I might have to just kind of put it at a soft angle and not make that bucket a major problem later on. And I don't know, that may have not been the best angle either on that particular object. I might have to reorient it. We'll see. I always do test prints, see how the stuff works, and then I'll reorient it if I need to, just quality and things like that. All right, with everything orientated, I'm going to add my raft, go over to the supporting tab, click on utilities, lift 5 millimeters, and then I'm going to do my island search. And just like that, with the magic of editing, we have our supports. There's 168 on this particular set, and we need to support them. I'm going to start by adding a support at the very bottom of the well. That support is going to be a medium. And then I'm going to move on to the rest of the islands and get back to the well once I've done just about everything else. But we're going to skip through a portion of the supporting. I'm just covering a bit of technique. Here I'm going to use the Alt-D command, which is holding Alt and D to duplicate and stretch down additional support into the same bar. You can do them close like that, or you can do them farther apart. Just make sure you give it a good angle when you do. And you can use it multiple ways. It's a very handy way to duplicate the supports and add them into a tree. Now the command to pull a mini support like this would be holding Control and Alt at the same time while dragging the support. Similar to the Alt-D, where that creates a duplicate, this creates an automatic mini. Now, otherwise, when you're using the supporting, you can either get the mini as you'll see it when you're creating the support when you click on the object, and sometimes Lightree will detect, okay, this is close, I'm going to put a mini support, and sometimes it will detect that it's far away. If it flickers between those two and it's kind of like not really in a solid spot, then again, you can use the Control and Alt command and drag your mini support to where you want it to connect to. Now, I don't recommend connecting it too far, usually maybe a millimeter. I wouldn't recommend much longer than that. So keep that in mind. They're only meant to be stretched a short distance. I don't like stretching them too long. They get stringy and sometimes they'll bend, which doesn't really lend much support at all, does it? So on the bottom of the medieval outhouse, we're demonstrating the use of the inline support tool, where you place a support, then you will obviously let go of the mouse button, click, and then you're going to hold down Shift. Then you're going to place the other end of the support tip where you want to create the line. You can do this at an angle, you can do it straight across. There's really not a lot of limitation to what it lets you do with it. It just doesn't always line up perfectly if it's on a weird surface, so which is one of the reasons why I only recommend using it on flatter areas, um, like the bottom of something like this. Perfect time to use it. And again, you click your support, let go of the mouse. No, click and let go, obviously. No, you're not support painting with this. And then you're going to hold shift while the other support is still highlighted. Make sure it's still highlighted. Then you're going to hold shift and you're going to move the other tip where you want that line to go. You can also select a support that is already there, and then you can create a line that way. That is also a way to use inline supports. And that would be doing it just by clicking the support that you want to click to select, and then hold shift and place the other tip. Now, as far as tips and tricks go, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this particular demonstration. So for the rest of this, we're going to go ahead and skip towards the end where we've already finished all the supporting. So I'll see you guys there. Once again, with the magic of editing, all the rest of the objects are supported because the video would have taken forever. So I went ahead and did all that. Now, the other objects are supported in a very similar manner to the way I do everything. As you can see, the well has got like a little spiral there, and it's supporting there, going in a little rotation. We have the plank, where I additionally use some linear supporting methods there, similar to the outhouse parts. And then there's the top part to the well, which is also, the plank is part of the well too. And we have hit all the zones there. Now, I think one of the things that we didn't talk about too much is doing internal supporting, because I did the supporting on the well and edited that out. So we do have another video coming up that actually talks about more terraining, even bigger parts than this, and talks about the handling of those parts. Obviously, we're going to do some bigger hollowing on that. It'll demonstrate a really good way to do that using really big holes that will not compromise the piece, because they're going to be in areas you do not care about, because they're going to be right in the middle, on the bottom, because this is actually a middle section. This chunk is so large that there's actually I think a top, middle, and a bottom. I think it's like 3 big parts. It also has like a ladder, a bunch of other stuff. It's pretty cool. It's like a boulder essentially, but it's a giant terrain piece, and that one's going to be in the upcoming. So definitely check that one out. We'll be posting both of these videos at the same time, so you can enjoy them both. Anyway, guys, enjoy the export slice, and I will see you all in the next episode. As usual, thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. Thanks so much for all the new subscribers that have been joining the channel. You guys are awesome. We appreciate all the original guys too, so thank you so much for watching the videos. I hope y'all are learning something from it, and I think from the comments and some of the videos you guys are. So we're going to keep doing it as long as we can. Thanks so much again, guys. See y'all soon.